welcome to the stream. I just bought Vagrus, the Riven realms. It came out a couple days ago. Figured I'd give it a try. I was watching some people on Twitch play it. Try my hand at it. They say it's text heavy. And it's hard as shit. So, I have my work cut out for me. Let's do this. Got two modes here, Wasteland mode and Dissonance mode. Wasteland mode. This is the way Vagrus was intended to be played by the developers. The setting is a cruel, harsh, unforgiving place, and so the game will not pull any punches. Expect a steep difficulty curve and little to no hand-holding. Save often because you will probably run into dead ends and deaths from time to time. Dissonance mode. This game mode is tailored more towards a narrative experience. Combat, management, and almost all other aspects of gameplay are less challenging. The result is a smoother difficulty at the cost of alignment with the setting, causing a certain dissonance. Achievements are turned off in this mode. I'm assuming the broken trophies, no achievements. I don't know what the torn parchment here means. But in any case, I'm playing Wasteland. That's a cool quote. Read the quote. I think if I start reading it, the screen's going to go, yep, see?
Ah, yes. A Vagrus. What a profession. Daring and savvy, always watching the horizon, always looking for an opportunity, and of course, for what is best for his comitatus, eh? And you are a Vagrus too, are you not? Many of your kind have I seen in my long life as a vagabond. Care to listen to a story about your exquisite occupation, good master? It is a tale of woe and terror, but it is also a tale that is true, as I have seen it with mine own eyes.
Tell us your tale, old man. It'll at least help kill the time. Or, we don't want any ghost stories, old-timer. I'm gonna go with the first option.
Wise you are, good master. My tale is of a Vagrus, such as yourself, but one whose fate was cursed and wrought with ill fortune. It all happened a long time ago. 10 years, maybe more. I was but a passenger, traveling rough roads and forgotten ways with this comitatus, south along the feet of the great mountains of the west. This comitatus I speak of had fallen under hard times. Perhaps it was due to imperial harassment or unfortunate decisions, or simply bad luck. Irafrons, saint of roads, does not always smile on us mere mortals. But however it came to pass, their coin was drying up, and their opportunities seemed few and far between. One of the last chances their Vagrus saw was to travel to the remote town of Scrapheap, and spend their remaining funds to stock up on cheap scrap metal. This metal could be sold for great profit over in the east and south. It wasn't a bad plan, truly, but it was not without risks either.
Welcome to Pilgrims of the Wasteland, a standalone story of Vagrus, the Riven realms. It serves as an introduction to the setting and also as a tutorial to the game. It behooves you to read the tutorial next and follow the instructions to gain a better understanding of how the game works. The map, whatever icon, can be clicked in tutorial windows to show in section. Although Vagrus is an open world game due to Pilgrims of the Wasteland being a tutorial, it progresses along a narrow guided path in the beginning and opens up only later, after the core mechanics have been introduced. On the campaign map, your comitatus traveling company always occupies a node and moves between nodes through paths. Moving along paths costs movement points indicated next to each path. Every in-game day you have a number of movement points to spend before you need to camp. To move, click on a nearby node and select Move from the radial menu. You can select a node that is farther away. The MP cost of moving there will be calculated and the path heightened. Move to Scrap Heap. How many movement points do I have? Oh, here we are. I have 9. Only takes 6. Uh-oh. Most of the story is presented through interactive text called events. Events let you make difficult choices at each step. Some choices can have a number of consequences, while others have various dependencies. Dependencies mean you can only pick a certain choice if you have the right prerequisite, skills, perks, characters, and so on. To select a choice, click on it or use 1 through 9 to select the one you like. Having gone ahead of the column with a handful of scouts, you watch from afar as your comitatus slowly trudges along broken terrain, making its way south ponderously among dormant geysers. All around you, the hills smolder lazily in the perpetual twilight. Are you all right? Javik's voice resonates with sympathy as he appears next to you on the ridge. You nod slowly, but do not look at him, your gaze lost in the distance, where ash cloaks the horizon and the towering mountains to the south and west. You turn to your comas, whatever, and note his supportive smile. You and Javik have been traveling the realms together for years now. There is no person in the world you trust more than him, except, perhaps, yourself. I know you feel that your hands are tied, but like I said before, you made the right choice by leading us here. I have 4 options. Time will tell, but I still have my doubts. It's a long shot, and you know it. There wasn't much of a choice. Either this or returning my trading license and hanging myself. It has to work. We cannot fail, not like this. Thank you, but the last thing I need right now is a clumsy pep talk, even if it's well meant. I'm gonna go number 2. Don't forget banditry. We can make serious coin waylaying travelers. Javik's smile is mild, but you're used to his sarcastic humor. Unfortunately for many, this is not a very light-hearted manner. Highwaymen and brigands roam the foreboding wilderness between settlements, and attacks are fairly common. Thus, travelers often band together for protection, which gave rise to the golden age of Komitati and Vagri. Seriously, though, there may have been little choice, but how you go about it matters much more than that, I think. We stick to the plan and see how it goes. How is the rest of the crew holding up, you think? Number 2. They do have faith in you still, Javik says. It should not come as a surprise since you have known and traveled with most of them for years and years. Some founding members of the Comitatus you trust with your life, but you have heard stories before about Vagrai, who have been abandoned for less. Times being what they are, Javik trails off. With Imperials cracking down on us independents more heavily than before, business is tough, everyone knows. And they appreciate your efforts to keep us floating. Our plan ought to give us another chance. The plan. You talked your traveling company into this a few weeks ago, but with each step towards the western mountains, more and more of them started to have doubts. Such is the way of the road, perhaps. The plan involves a desperate attempt at squeezing a low selling price for metal bits out of an old contact of yours in the town of Scrap Heap. Stocking up on said metal by spending your remaining coin and bringing the cargo down around the Molten Tongue to Devon via Avernum and Ash. There is a shortage of metal in Devon, and you know several buyers who would give a pretty price for your goods if they can only make it that far, or make it there before many others with a similar cargo do. Such contacts are the boon of the long decades spent on the road. But even if Narbo, that villain, gave you an agreeable price in Scrap Heap, the road is not without its perils. Sneaking through the gap between the dead forest and the Molten Tongue is inviting disaster, so it is not a path many Vagri would risk. And of course, if this fails, you're out of alternatives. Do you think Narble will help us out? That old scavenger was never famous for his goodwill, Javik wonders. One can only hope. I haven't seen him in years. We always did good business. That said, you're not sure if he would remember you, or if he is alive at all. If he is not willing, we must find a way to compel him. There is no telling what you would be capable of if it came to that. He has to help us out. He won't be able to pass up the opportunity to make us indebted to him. Even the thought of selling yourself out in such a way makes you feel dirty. When text in an event is highlighted pale blue, it means you have found a codex entry. Clicking these opens a codex and navigates you to the entry. The codex is a collection of entries you find throughout your travels. Entries contain information about the world and its inhabitants. When you have unread entries, the crystal on the cover of the closed codex emanates light. Entries are displayed in a list on the left. You can search entries and filter them by category using the buttons on top. Unread entries are marked with a blue icon and appear on top, while already read entries have a gold icon. The text of the selected entry appears on the right. Information in the codex is supplementary. It is there for those who wish to learn more about the Riven realms. By the way, I would have sworn this game was done by the same company that made the RPG Nantucket. If anyone's ever played it. Oh, hey, how you doing, Rugsy? But yeah, this game reminds me of Nantucket. The user interface, the icons, graphics remind me of that so well. But I guess it's a different company. I don't know if I forget the company that made Nantucket. I don't know if maybe some of their developers left to go to this company that made Vagrus. I don't know. Maybe they did, or maybe people made Vagrus were inspired by it. But I mean, these icons are like dead on almost. Let's see. Yeah, Nantucket's a nice little game. You could beat it in about 10 hours. It's based on Moby Dick. You're hunting Moby Dick. It takes place right after the book. You play as Ishmael, who gets his own whaling ship, and the combat in the game it's like a card game, and there's dice rolls. So that's how the combat is resolved in that game, and it's pretty good. But it's a short game. But I recommend it. Let's see here. What was the plan? Scrap heap by scrap metal, south around the Molten Tongue to Devon via okay. So I have a feeling these branching paths here will influence my character development. With number 2. These are dark times. They call for desperate deeds. But such thoughts make me uncomfortable, to be honest. Javik rubs his chin absent-mindedly. You have seen this expression of his too often not to realize he is using his sorceress talent to read your mind. Taking a peek? Get out of my head. You know the rules. Taking a peek? Apologies. Javik rubs his eyes quickly and looks away. You know how it is. It comes to me so naturally that sometimes I don't notice I'm doing it. Your thoughts were loud, Vagrus. I have to actually block them, you see. After joining your comitatus 6 years ago, Javik proved to be an invaluable asset. Not only does he sense moods and thoughts around him, he is also able to subtly manipulate others when he focuses his inner energies. Plus, I got my own Consular Troy now. It comes in handy when doing business. Then there are his other perks. A few times you saw him shatter the minds of men and beasts who tried to kill him. Not a pretty sight, but a very effective deterrence. Yet, because he is not a trained sorcerer, at least not in the traditional sense, his abilities are sometimes difficult to control. You have become accustomed to his impromptu thought scans, while others find it less bearable to be around him. For this reason, he has kept his abilities a secret for many years overall, but you can't keep a secret such as this for long in a close-knit community of a comitatus, especially not if you keep bursting minds and knowing things you shouldn't. So there are only a handful of your comes who put up with being near him for any length of time. But even so, he has not probed your mind in years, certainly not on purpose, but neither by accident. Perhaps he is less in control now, which suggests he is more on edge about this whole trip than he lets on. Apology accepted. You manage a faint smile. Let us return to the others and push on. There's still a day's travel ahead of us. Just make sure it does not happen again. You grumble as you start to make your way down the ridge and back to the column. A long day of travel awaits you. Well, this is the kind of guy whose good graces I want to be on, so option 1. Both of you head west to join the column. You go back to the comitatus.
As we were coming up to the gates of Scrap Heap, this trash-pile town of cutthroats and scavengers, we could see the vast mountain ranges of shattered Bivanda Thar looming ominously over the horizon, half shrouded in the gaseous vapors belched forth by the volcanoes in the far west. My companions prepared to do their business in town as fast as they could, not wishing to tarry in this notorious place.
When a comitatus enters a settlement, you can select from a variety of options, each on its separate pane, revolving around resting, resupplying, and trading. You have also the opportunity to initiate stories located in the settlement. At the foot of the ever-fuming mountains of the ancient Dwarven kingdom lie a scrap heap, the town of scavengers. Debris and junk is piled into veritable hills upon which the rickety homes of the decrepit inhabitants stand precariously. Ash lingers everywhere and the sun is almost always absent from the twilit skies. Deals are struck day and night over the precious metal scraps gathered in the ruins of nearby Dvendar Thar, while the Heap King oversees all from his dreaded tower. Shady eyes and soot-covered faces watch from under ash-laden awnings. Life is cheaper than iron here, some say. Track down Narbo. Can he be convinced to help you out? You make your way to the Wraith Stash, a notorious watering hole tucked away in a small street just beneath the imposing tower of the Heap King, but not quite under its immense shadow. Few frequent the establishment, which makes it perfect for Narbo and his little operation of honest merchants. Apparently, the knave is not only alive, but has done well for himself in the past decade or so. Taking only Javik, you leave the comitatus to the care of Titus, your quartermaster, where you are gone negotiating. Ash is flitting from the black sky as you cross the street and nod to the bouncer of the Wraith Stash. You give him your sidearms quietly. Rules are rules, at least as long as they can enforce them. Yet they have the courtesy of allowing you to keep your dagger. And of course, they have no idea what Javik is capable of, should it come to a scuffle. Not that you expect such a thing, but with Narbo, one never knows. Though you have told your crew that he and you go way back, the entrepreneur is a capricious and manipulative man with whom you do not part on the best of terms. Does he remember that? Surely. But don't call me Shirley. Could he be persuaded to take your proposal? Who knows? Your eyes slowly adjust to the dimness of the tavern's interior. Only a few candles and a lamp at the bar illuminate the common room. Shadowy faces turn towards you and observe you through the smoke. The bartender, a thick-set man in a dirty tunic, is chewing tobacco serenely. Above the bar hangs the skeleton of a large heap lizard on display. Narbo is sitting at a table in the back, his bodyguard half hidden in the darkness at the wall behind him. It's these guys, maybe? Make your way confidently over to Narbo. Walk over to the bar or sit down at one of the vacant tables. What should I do? Might as well get this sorted out right now. The entrepreneur looks up from a stack of papers in front of him and rubs his eyes. Narbo is a corpulent man with a bushy dark beard and a few missing teeth. Part of his face is covered in scars similar to those left by old burns. That, coupled with his withered and mutated left arm that hangs limply at his side, is a clear indication of the taint. The merchant wears a leather jerkin studded with small bronze and bone coins, a sign of wealth and boldness. His bodyguard, a lithe man with tribal tattoos and an outfit made of leather, moves his hand calmly to a spear that leans against the wall. Narbo's mouth falls open as the spark of recognition flares up in his eyes. No wonder. It has been 10 years. The fuck, mate? He blinks. I thought you croaked. People, Narbo waves his good hand around and looks at his bodyguard. Told tales of your demise. The man finishes his sentence for him as the merchant nods vehemently. That business with Kernak, outpost in the storm, Narbo adds. You tell him that you were indeed at Kernak when the terrible arcane storm struck. You described the horrors of that night briefly. You add how many of your original comitatus died there, close friends, old traveling companions, but you walked away unscathed. This was years ago. Sheesh, that fucker Irifons looked after you something fierce, eh? Narbo chucks heartily. But I'm sure you ain't come to reminisce about good times, huh? His predatory smile makes you cautious, even though he invites you to sit down with a casual wave of his meaty hand. Apologize to him for the unfortunate way you parted 10 years ago. Get down to business right away. You have no time to spare. Remind him that you do not like threats, especially not insinuated ones. Fuck, should I rob him? Sounds like fun. I'll see if I could rob him. I'm not sure which ways these will branch out. I'm just going to get to business right away. You tell Narbo to let bygones be bygones, and instead listen to what you have got to offer now. You got some balls coming here, all business and bald. After a tense moment, his stern expression turns into a toothless smile. I like it. The bodyguard visibly becomes less tense. Narbo opens his arms wide and bows his head. Let's hear it, mate. You breathe in. Time to outline your proposition. Here, some choices have dependencies, meaning you can only pick a certain choice if you have the right prerequisite perks, companions, etc. Some choices involve tests that can be failed or succeeded with different consequences. Perks, characters, and resources can change the chance of success in tests. Test difficulty is represented by a number between 1 and 100, that you need to roll equal to or below. Oh, no shit. You explain to Narbo how you want him to give you a discount on a shipment of metal scraps, which you would then smuggle into Devon through contacts you have in the city's underworld. The profit on the shipment would be quite exquisite. You do not name your contact, but divulge enough of her that the plan looks solid. Buyers, you say, are lining up, expecting the shipment soon. Narbo sits in silence, eyes fixed on the table as if listening to some noise from afar. He does not cut you off at any time during your proposition. At length, after you are done, he looks up and gives you a weak smile. That sounds like you've been thinking a long time about it, he says as he shifts in his chair. And it's a great plan, except for the part where I give you a discount for you asking and not much else. And I'll do that, mate. That would make me what? An almoner, the bodyguard asks discreetly. That's a word? Narbo looks up at him. When the man nods, he looks back at you. Aye, an almoner, see? I'm no almoner. You know you gotta do better than that. What you got for me? Tell him that you will be in his debt. That's not going to happen. He will make a tidy profit as it is, but you will owe him a favor. Remind him that you used to make a decent team and this could rekindle the partnership. Very low chance of success. What are these? Charismatic, persuasion. Huh. Increase your chance of succeeding in the test by 10%. Cost 2 resourcefulness. Reveal that you're in a bad spot and is your last chance. Let him know that in exchange for his help, you can help him out with a problem he might have right now. And I don't know why that's locked. Resourcefulness. Where's that at? Well, there's a point where the mind reader guy could have found out about that. I must have missed something then. I'm going to go number 3. Reveal that you're in a bad spot and it is your last chance. I don't want to be in this guy's debt. And this ain't going to work. So. After a considerable pause, Narbo scratches his beard in thought, then turns to you again. Fair enough. We used to run together. I know you are capable. But just to be clear, you do owe me for this, and I'll... Fuck. The moment you make clear, or you make that deal in Devon, you come back here and we share. I want quarter. No haggling that. You frown when you accept this proposal, but inside you are gleeful. You could not have hoped for a better result. In truth, a quarter of the price is not only doable, but would leave you with enough to keep paying your crew for several future jobs. It could be a new start. Narbo instructs you to give him an hour, and look for his people at the market and simply introduce yourself. They will know what price they should give you on the metal scraps by then. I expect you to return within 2 months, give or take. Failing that, you'll be hunted. Have no doubt about that. And you know that I can mobilize half the bounty hunters in the realms. When you nod, Narbo mentions to his man. You and Javik stand up and make ready to leave. Ralvarer will take you to the back exit. We don't want to give people the idea they can come here to beg for almonds now, do we? You got what you came for, so you leave the Wraith stash through the back entrance and head back to the Comitatus. Check my journal. The journal allows you to view your quest tasks and other related information. You can search for entries and filter them. On the top left, entries are separated in objectives and qualities into their respective panes. Objectives are your quests and ongoing stories. The text of a selected list item appears on the right. These describe the quest or task and provide actual or active objectives. Odd-red entries have a blue exclamation mark icon and appear on top, while already red entries are marked by gold dots, active, and a green check mark completed, or a red crossed circle failed. Tasks are non-narrative missions and goals you can complete for rewards. There are several types, like trade opportunities or mercenary work, but in Pilgrims of the Wasteland, you only find passengers here. Passengers have to be taken to their destination, where they will compensate you for your trouble. Be careful, sometimes passengers will leave you if you take too long to get to the destination. Qualities can be statuses, gathered information, secrets, and so on. Unread entries have a blue exclamation mark icon up here on top, while already read entries have a gold circle icon. Alright. Buy everything, the journal. 24 scrap metals. On his equipment, what the hell's that? The market pane is now active. Scrap heap. At the foot of the ever-fuming mountains of the ancient dwarven kingdom lies Scrap Heap, the town of scavengers. Debris and junk is piled in the... I already read this. Stroll Scrounger's Lane, walk up to the tower, and visit the Heap King. Maybe not right now. The market pane displays the available goods you can buy at the settlements market on the right and opens your cargo pane on the left. You can buy goods from the market or sell your own goods from your cargo hold here. Buy or sell one increment only. Clicking on the buy or sell button next to the listed goods. Holding shift and clicking the buy or sell buttons buys or holds whole stack respectively. Drag and drop the icon for buying or selling stacks or goods. Holding shift and clicking the icon opens a window where you can specify the quantity you wish to buy or sell. What's this? Sorcery. Hammers. Okay, scrap metal. Buy all that. Supplies. $506.7. Okay. Equipment that you can attach to the Comitatus is sold on some markets or found throughout your travels. They provide bonuses and upgrades. You can switch between the market of goods and equipment using the buttons over to list items and purchase the awnings. Oh, awnings, like a literal awning, okay. equipment you own are in a pull below the Comitatus illustration. In order to gain their bonuses, you need to equip them first by dragging and dropping them on an appropriate slot in the illustration. Equipment can only be found or placed in a slot that matches its type, except the equipment of any type that can be placed in the miscellaneous slot. You can unequip by dragging it back to the list. Where's this go? Oh, the box that's glowing. That's probably it. Items. The third type of cargo do not take up cargo space and are not equipable. They are used and traded at certain events. You can switch panes in the settlement, and the active pane will open the corresponding pane of the Comitatus management on the left. You can now freely check the settlement tabs. So the arch icon and the bottom leaves scrappy once you leave. You cannot come back to this place and Pilgrims to the Wasteland, so be sure to do everything you want before venturing forth. Let's go visit the Heap King. Walking up the great heap to the immense tower is a daunting task. Up on the hill, it is even more difficult to breathe than in the ash-choked city at its feet. A hot wind blows from the south. Every step is slow torture. By the time you reach the gates of the tower, your chest is heaving and you keep coughing up soot. Before you rises the tower of the Heap King, ruler of the trash pile of a town. The whole structure is cobbled together from scrap with the lower levels covered in metal sheets. A huge bonfire of yellow-white flame burns on its topmost level day and night, a beacon for the scavenging teams to follow home. Looking nigh impregnable, the fortress has only one entrance. A small group of guards sneers malevolently at you as you approach. Better turn back if you have no business here, vagabond, the ranking gatekeeper says, from under a mask attached to his bronze skull cap. You have nothing to say that would gain entry. A long walk back the hill awaits. Ask them where you can acquire an invitation. Ask them for directions. Acquire invitation. Perhaps you could try licking my arsehole and see where that gets you, one of the guards says loud enough for you to hear. A round of applause and guffaws follows. The ranking guard does not laugh but does nothing to reprimand his men either. My duty is to stop anyone without official business to enter, not to educate them or to get a pass, he says and walks back to the others. Nothing will change their minds. You walk down the hill. Let's see what's in Scrounger's Lane. You and Javik roam the dingy market called Scrounger's Lane at the foot of the great heap upon which the tower of the Heap King is built. Ash-covered awnings and dirty stalls line the labyrinthine streets with stiflingly narrow alleys and tiny squares adding to the general confusion. Sometimes it is difficult to tell a shop from a dilapidated home, and for a good reason. Most people who live here are also merchants to some extent. And even though the Heap King's militia is there to keep peace, you can't help but notice all the shifty gazes from the deplorable types aimed at you. Take a look at local prices and goods. You recall a little shop hidden in an alley. The owner used to peddle dwarven curiosities. Perhaps it's still there. Leave the market. You do not really have the coin to buy anything anyway. Alright. The small shop is still there at the end of a serpentine alley on the south side. Is this new? Oh, no. At the end of a serpentine alley on the south side of the market district. Standing outside of it, you notice how it is much worse shaped than you remember. Inside the decrepit scrap shack is an equally unkempt young fellow who hails at you with a jolly smile. The shop looks empty. A short conversation reveals that the youngster is the son of the man who used to run this place. His father never came back from a forage into dwarven ruins a few months ago. Unfortunately, I don't have Dad's expertise on dwarves, neither am I the adventurous sort, so by now I've sold all his remaining stock and I'm closing shop soon. Then I'm off and away from Crap Heap for good. Go south, maybe to them Dragonlands, he says, scratching his beard. You talk a bit about dwarven culture and his father's obsession with their forgotten technological wonders. You are about to say goodbye when he slaps his forehead. I still have something here that a Vagrus such as yourself might be interested in. He fishes a small brass compass out of his pocket and hands it to you. It is a masterwork, no doubt, sporting runes and detailed etchings on the sides. The fellow is willing to sell it to you for a token price. Buy the compass. 1 max movement. Hey, it points north. That's amazing. Okay, I'll buy it. You and Javik roam the dingy market because Scrounger's Lane. Oh, okay. Take a look at local prices and goods. Yeah, it's Crap Heap. I don't blame him. Now, after spending an hour looking at wares, you realize that there is nothing here you would fork out coins for. Of course, there's a lot of useful things, but you want to keep the rest of your purse intact should you run into difficulties on the road ahead. Then you notice, while you were feasting your eyes on the stall's offerings, a cut purse working at the market managed to get to your coins. It could have been worse, but you still curse loud and long when you discovered a missing money. Ah, shit. Lost 9 changer. 2 bras, 8 leerg, 7 changers. 1 bras equals 10 leerg. 1 leerg equals 10. Oh, that's not too bad. Ooh. Okay. Good thing I checked that. I didn't know to equip it. Packed up, restocked on supplies, and with all your business here concluded, you finally make ready to leave the decrepit town of Scrap Heap behind in the morning. You spend the night inside a guarded compound. Not for free, though. How much would that be? 1 leer? Oh, Jesus. On second thought, there are still things you wish to explore in Scrap Heap. Well... You set out at dawn. Ashes flitting from the sky and the distant mountains rumble ominously in the morning twilight as your comitatus reaches the west gate of the town. You noticed almost immediately that the militia at the gates is questioning and inspecting travelers. Move along towards the inspection. A robed magistrate of the Heap King appears to coordinate the search effort, picking out people or even whole traveling groups for inspection. As your comitatus draws near, it takes only a passing glance from him to check you and your crew before he motions to the guards to let you through. You pass under the gate and out into the broken wastelands. The comitatus is well on its way, and Scrap Heap is a mere dot on the horizon by the time Javik joins you at the front of the line. Just like I said, you made the right choice with this venture. Talk of how you may have saved us all is spreading like wildfire, he says with a faint smile. Of course, we do have to all make it alive to Devon with the cargo, but it's a good start, don't you think? Nod in agreement. Agreed. There may be hope left for the comitatus after all. Agreed. There may be hope left for the comitatus after all, and, you know, it's in a large part thanks to you and your abilities, not mine. You didn't do anything. Turn away and walk on without a word. Number 2. Well, I'm sure it'll be fine. It's not like we started this business yesterday. With that, you both go back to your duties and the constant monitoring of the horizon. If all goes well, you should reach the Wound in a few days, where you can turn south along the edge of the Molten Tongue and travel down to Avernum. What's the Wound? The chasm called the Wound is a 15 miles long cleft that runs that forest on the southern side. 1 1 to 200 yard deep ravines, bottom glows with a crimson light. Ew. It smells bad too. Abominable creatures born of the blood-like liquid wander the wound's vicinity. Oh, wonderful. Fork the lava river. What's a Vernum? The regional capital of the empire where the Molten Tongue meets the Smolderbone Flats. Alright. Plus your morale end. Your progress is saved at checkpoints. Whenever you leave a settlement, reach a story-related checkpoint, as well as the start of each in-game day, your game is saved automatically. Manual savings unavailable in the standalone story pilgrims. In the open world, you can save whenever. Load your games.
There they were, with a full cargo hold, and filled with newfound hope. Yet, the road ahead still promised hardships and peril. I traveled with them southwards, expecting to reach more habitable lands beyond the Molten Tongue's river of lava.
Crew management. Morale is the general mood of your comitatus. If it ever drops to 1, there's a chance that the comitatus dissolves and you lose the game. You can also see the current effects of your morale below the rating. Where's morale? Oh, there it is. Obedience indicates how satisfied your slaves are. Low obedience leads to theft, runaways, and worse. Be sure to guard your slaves with enough fighters and treat your slaves well or punish them consistently to raise obedience. Nutrition shows you how well fed your crew is. Low nutrition incurs penalties. Extra rations raise nutrition, while starving your crew repeatedly lowers it. Vigor indicates how tired the comitatus is. Low vigor results in penalties on tests and in a dramatically slower comitatus, which can spell doom quite fast. You can see the current effects of your vigor below the rating. Upkeep is how much you owe your crew. You can pay them at the end of each day or keep collecting debt. Consumption is how much food your crew consumes each day. Running out of supplies leads to a quick death in the wastelands. Workforce is generated by workers and slaves. You have enough workforce to cover the comitatus's needs, including beasts, crew, and passengers. Going below the required number bestows serious penalties. Passengers are people your comitatus takes to their destinations for rewards. You can take on passengers in some events and settlements. They also consume supplies. Lizard icon. You can see the number of each crew and beast type you have in your comitatus. Consult a tooltip for each type to learn more about their role. Outriders are special because you need a fighter and a mount to be able to create an outrider by using the plus button. While outriders are excellent fighters, mounts without rides carry cargo. You can also dismount fighters using the minus button. For now, add an outrider and then close this window. Add one. Okay. You have run out of movement points and need to camp, ending the day. Being on the road all day, spending most of your MPs, lowers the vigor of your comitatus that you can replenish by camping. You could also camp earlier in a running of MPs, which helps raise vigor faster. Where's the camp icon? Oh, radio menu. At the end of each in-game day, the Comitatus makes camp and settles down for the night. Supplies are consumed and movement points are refreshed after camping. At each camp, you can decide to offer normal or double wages for the current day, independent of whether you pay them or not. Double payment increases morale. You can also choose to pay all your debts to your crew at this time, pay now, or accrue payments, pay later, but the longer you delay, the grumpier the crew gets. Obedience and nutrition also appear here, as well as the options to discipline or liberate slaves. Workforce shows how much workforce generated by workers and slaves you need to maintain the Comitatus. Going below the required bestows serious penalties. You have the option to give out less or more supplies under rations, which penalizes or boosts vigor and morale respectively. Starving your crew will have long-term negative effects on nutrition as well, but it may be necessary sometimes to save rations. All the lock icons allow you to save the current setting of the corresponding UI element so it remains the same for the next camp. Under hunting and foraging, you can send your crew out into the wasteland to find supplies and sometimes even other goods. Base chances for these activities depend on your related perks, deputies, crew, and the region you are in. You could also see the expected yields below each activity. The cost of hunting and foraging is movement points or vigor if you're out of MPs. Hunting uses scouts and has a chance to get you a large number of supplies. Critical failure might kill scouts. Click on the scouts to allow hunting. Foraging is more reliable but yields fewer supplies. It can use workers and slaves. You can add them or remove them from the activity by clicking on their crew portraits. Hunting and foraging results appear after you end the day. A summary of what happened to your crew you can see on the right. You can also talk to your companions using the speech bubble icons below their portraits. Companions heal naturally during camp. The chance of healing or worsening condition can be seen in the bar below the portraits. Using the button on the right allows the use of medical supplies for increased healing chances and effectiveness. Medical supplies are quite valuable. Use them wisely. Healing results appear after you end the day. You must also set your defense orders for the night. A more lenient defense has a higher risk of a nighttime ambush and a negative effect on obedience. What is this? Morrowind is discussing something with a few scouts when you approach them. She sees you and steps away from her company, joining you next to a tent in the shadows. You immediately start to feel anxious, as if roused out of torpor by Tarkian coffee, the effects of her demon-kin heritage, no doubt. Anything I could do for you? Ask what she thinks about the Comitatus. Ask what she thinks about Javik. Ask her about her past. Ask her about demon-kin. End up chatting for tonight. Back to your day. What do you think about the Comitatus, I wonder? What I think is that if everyone does what they're supposed to, we can deal with most problems on the way. There's a moment of silence, and you realize she is done talking about this. Was there anything else you wanted? Morwen looks at you quizzically. What does she think about Javik? Javik is someone I did not trust. He can read people's thoughts, they say, but he's always been kind to everyone, and he knows his way around beasts. I'm glad he's traveling with us. Ask her about her past. I was a mercenary. I don't want to talk about that. Then you hired me, and you've known everything there is worth knowing about me since then. Demon-kin. She seems thoughtful for a moment. Now, I can't speak for all of us because there are so many kinds and variants of our race. We are called demon-kin since it is said that demonic blood runs in our veins. Around us, people feel uneasy or anxious. Each of us has abilities that men of your empire do not possess. I can see in the dark. Cold gets to me slower and my skin gets burned less likely than that of humans. It's all very practical. Oh, and I have these. She points to her horns and bone spikes. Go back to your duties. You approach Javik. He is tending to one of your beasts of burden. When he sees you wish to talk, he steps away, motioning to a handler to finish what he started. What's on your mind, Vagrus? Ask what he thinks of Avernum and about what you can expect there. I'll do that. Oh yeah, I remember. You haven't been there for a long time. Well, Avernum is less of a provincial town like Scrapheap these days and more like one of the great cities of the Empire. Sure, it's not as big as Devon or Torzag's Shelter, but it's a busy city with a lot of people and commerce. They say that the prefect who oversees the place has his own private thing going on and he's fairly easy on the crime bosses. Well, at least on those that play along. Trade from the region concentrates on Avernum, and everyone wants to get their share. Was there something else you wanted to ask him? Yes. Ask him about his past. He speaks so little of it. There's not much to say, really. You know most of it already. I spent most of my youth on the road when I learned how to handle all kinds of beasts. My abilities were a great help in that, but I also had really good teachers. Eventually, I sought training to enhance my telepathic skills, but I returned to life on the road later on. We met a little after that. Ask him where he got his telepathic training. Ask him where he was born and what got him on the road in the first place. Telepathic. Javik frowns and looks away. That is something I do not wish to divulge. It's not a matter of trust, you know. I swore an oath not to give away anything of my mentors, and I intend to keep my word. Ask him where he was born. I can't say where I was born. My mother was on the move. The way Javik says mother seems oddly hurtful. But that wasn't for very long. She sold me. I was a slave. Never knew my folks because of that. Your silence prompts a faint smile as he adds, I never said it because you never asked. But it's no secret, really. I was liberated at quite a young age by a Vagrus who showed potential in me and my abilities. Strange abilities. I am what they call afflicted, that is, someone with abilities beyond those of mortals. These abilities vary greatly from person to person. Mine are what you might call telepathic, mental powers that could sense, enhance, and even manipulate the thoughts of both beasts and men. These afflictions are thought to have originated from the Calamity. I couldn't say myself. I only know that I've had them since I can remember. It started manifesting as inexplicable sensations and a sixth sense, but with hard work and exercise I was able to turn it into a controlled skill set. That's it. Okay, what's this? Medical supplies, disable hero results. End day. No foragers harm. Found 10 supplies. Critical success. Found 27 supplies. Nice. After a long day's march under bleak skies and harassed by hot winds, the Comitatus finally settles down in a wide ravine. After taking care of camp chores and checking on all your my homies, you go to your tent and tuck in for the night. There are benefits to sleeping out in the wasteland. The silence is quite calming, tranquil even. Only the murmur of the distant, fire-belching mountains, the whisper of the wind, and the occasional groans of your beasts can be heard. Except, something else is making a muffled noise you do not recognize. Your eyes flick open. Something is wrong. What in Tartarus is it now? You rise to check it out. Leaving your tent and passing the sleeping beasts, you are just about to call to a guard when you stumble upon a large quadrupedal creature covered with fused bone protrusions. It is munching on supplies scattered across the ground, evidently from a torn open sack laying nearby. The creature is a chakra, a wasteland scavenger that hunts in packs. You freak another word, the monster charges you. A giant lizard thing. And out of the shadows, Morwen leaps at it, tackling it aside and cutting its hide with her bone axe in a follow-up swing. You breathe out, realizing that she has probably just saved your life. Javik runs up to you just as the creature backs off and lets out a long howl. There's more of those accursed things, boss. Must have sneaked past the perimeter guards. They're trying to chase him off, he blurts out. As he does, you can hear yelling and the sound of a battle from around camp. The wounded Jakra is joined by another one from behind a cargo pile, and the two of them start circling you. Javik steps behind Morwen as they get ready for the fight. There we go. Companion combat is turn-based, where 1 to 6 enemies fight against your team of 1 to 6 companions. You can use the skills of your companions to defeat your enemies, protect your companions, and set yourself up in advantageous positions on the combat board. Companion combat is made up of rounds. Each round, all the participants take turns to act, and when everyone has had their turn, the current round ends and a new round is started. This goes on until either your companions or your enemies are defeated. Combat board is divided into two sides. The friendly side, where your companions and occasional allies are, and the opposite side where your enemies are. Each side has a front row melee and a back row ranged. Each row has 3 positions. Certain skills can only be used when standing in a position in the appropriate row. The order in which combatants receive their turns is according to their initiative. At the beginning of each round, all active combatants add 1 to 6 randomly to their initiative to determine in what order they will progress through the round, starting from the highest initiative. The initiative order top left shows the order in which combatants receive their turns. Wise leaders use this information to plan ahead. Oh, shit. Melee skills can only be used from the front row, target, adjacent. Positioning in melee is paramount. All characters can move to any adjacent position on their own side. If they move into a position that is occupied by another character, that character is pushed out of the position it occupies and has to be moved into an adjacent free position. Not only do characters in the front row prevent melee attacks against characters directly behind them, but they also make them much more difficult to hit with certain ranged skills, those that have line of sight property. When you want to move, select the move icon and then select the target position by clicking on it, then confirm with a second click. Move Morwen in front of Javik to protect him. Double clicking. Oh. Each companion has 4 combat skills besides move, represented by the row of icons below their name on their character information bar. When you select a skill, its stats are displayed below the skill icons. can select skills or move by clicking on them or pressing their numbers. Select skills are highlighted as all are available targets for the selected skill. Skill details can be viewed in the information sheet on the bottom left after a skill is chosen. Use Mind Blast to attack your opponents. Select from their target position. Select available. Morrowind skills include options to push front row enemies back, Savage Kick, and also to pull back row enemies to the front, Whiplash. Some skills are more complex, for example, including a move and an attack, Strafe. These type of skills can be used to great effect in controlling your enemies. Savage Kick. Consult the combat log, the sheet at the middle, mid bottom, see what exactly occurred. The character sheet can be opened by clicking its icon, 3 lines at the portrait. You can see all the combat relevant stats. The forfeit button allows you to pass your current turn. Defeat your enemies, hold space. Do another Mind Blast. Nice. Hey, Drifter Punk. Yeah, this is the first time I've ever played this game, period. That was the first battle I've been in. Monster's Den? I've never heard of it. The 2 Jacques lie dead at your feet. Morrowind wipes the foul-smelling blood from her axe blade as a guard arrives and talks to her. Yeah, where were those guys at? You okay, boss? Javik pats you on the shoulder. You nod, turning to Morrowind as she approaches you. All hostiles taken care of, she says. They got to some of the food, but we could take the meat and other parts to make up for it. Harvest the damn critters before going back to bed. Perhaps you will get something out from this in the end. Let's just go back to bed. We got 2 ivory, 90 supplies, and 5 hides. That's pretty good. Chart. Hey, it's going all right, man. How are you? How's it going with you? The chart is your tool in navigating the wastelands of Zirin and planning out journeys. You can move around by holding MLB, left mouse button, and holding the mouse. You can zoom with the mouse wheel. Your comitatus is represented by a red banner. Oh, okay. Any discovered settlements or points of interest can be marked by clicking on their icon and choosing flag icon, bottom left box, which highlights them on the chart. You also have the option to navigate the codex from the box. Mark Averden south of you on your chart. There it is. The Voiceless Lake. Yeah, that's basically what I did. I saw it came on 2 days ago. I watched somebody play it yesterday. I watched somebody play it about 2 hours ago here. And then I decided to buy it. People are saying it's real hard, so I wanna check it out. Seems pretty good so far. I mean, it's only like 25 bucks. What is that? A new day has started. Let's move. Forced march allows you to march farther in a given day. Forced marches get you further. Use them carefully. Your crew loses vigor and even morale. We strongly suggest refraining from frequent forced marches. Alright. I wasn't planning on doing that, but whatever. Oh, here we go. As the Comitatus is scaling another stretch of black sand dunes, one of the outriders you had sent out to screen your left flank rides in on the line and heads immediately to you. You can see the man is in a panic right away from the way he hops off the saddle while decelerating and almost falling over. Before he reaches you, your guardsmen are already setting up a defensive perimeter to the east. You beckon to the beast drivers to halt the line. Vagrus, they are coming! I saw him walking over the dunes. The pilgrims are coming! A murmur of terror washes over the Comitatus. Clearly, your scouts were referring to the last pilgrimage. This group of spectral horrors is known to appear out of nowhere and eradicate even large groups of travelers in a matter of minutes. Nobody quite knows what happens to those who encounter them up close, as nobody has lived to tell the tale. Some reckless people were reputedly able to take a peek at the otherworldly wayfarers, but during your many years as a Vagrus, you never met any such person whose story was credible. You know all too well that if your outrider tells the truth, and you see no reason why he wouldn't, the only chance of survival is for all of you to run or hide. Oh shit. What should I do? I have a feeling that if there are spectral wraiths, if I try to hide, they're probably going to find me. I mean, it worked for Frodo when he's hiding from the ring wraiths, but I don't think I'm going to be that lucky. The Outrider was able to outrun them, but I got a caravan here. It's probably a lot slower than the Outriders, right? Ooh. Last pilgrimage. going to make a run for it. You turn the whole comitatus around and make haste westwards at the right angle to the espied direction in which the pilgrims are reportedly moving. After an hour of hauling ass, maybe in this case literally, you make the line stop. Scouting parties you have sent out saw no sign of the spectral menace. So, you turn back and realign with the original direction you were where you were traveling, headed south by southwest. You lost a lot of time today, but at least now you can say that you have come fairly close to the last pilgrimage and lived to tell the tale. Carry on with your journey. -4 movement. What's this? Discipline or liberate? Oh, okay. How many supplies I got? What is that? Scrap metal. Still got about 451. Does it say how much they consume? Oh, here we are. %100% chance of critical failure. 'The comitatus climbs the last black dune and comes to a halt on your mark. Standing on one of the carts, you spy the horizon carefully before hopping down and convening with your most trusted. Ahead looms the voiceless lake, a place of deathly quiet and utter peril. The lava flow of this particular tendril of the molten tongue cools down here below a tough shell of dark rock covered by streaming water. Yet the shell is not solid enough in places. It could crack in the blink of an eye and open under one's foot, leading to a sudden scalding death. There are ways to guess where it is safe to cross, but it has to be done slowly and attentively. Your scouts know their way around here, but because the lava changes constantly beneath the shell, they have to rely on finding a new way through each time. The lake is voiceless because everyone has to keep completely quiet. That way, one might hear the shifting lava and the cracking shell just in time to avoid disaster. Your lieutenants agree that crossing over to the far side of the shell is still better than going around and into Arenas Negras, however. What is Arenas Negras? Place is a vast empty desert. People who enter the desert and stay for more than a few hours usually inexplicably disappear. Okay. Won't be going there. Especially after coming so close to the last pilgrimage a few days ago, nobody in their right mind would go near the damn place. And so you are stuck with the plateau surrounding the voiceless lake. The Comitatus attempts to cross over on the other side. It's a high chance of success. Fail? God damn it. All of a sudden there is a crack that is nearly deafening in the otherwise complete silence. The last mount in the line howls once and disappears in the newly opened fissure in the blink of an eye. Its rider had no time to utter a sound, but the slave the beast drags along with its fall lets out a bone-chilling shriek before going silent forever. There is no telling if they deviated from the path pinpointed by your scouts, or if the path was poorly chosen to begin with. The rest of the Comitatus eventually makes it through, and you can turn away from the cursed lake and head southwards. Yet the loss of the beast is a disaster in its own right, and the crew is shaken enough to maintain the uncanny silence for days to come. Fuck. That sucks.
Just as we were about to leave that damnable lake behind, we heard it. An abominable shriek pierced the air and made us gasp. It came from behind some hills nearby, coupled with the ruckus of battle. The armed women and men, the Comitatus, looked at their Vagrus questioningly.
Scouts come running towards the cart line as you're about to enter the Badlands south of the lake and hear what can only be described as a paralyzing howl accompanied by the unmistakable sounds of battle. There's a battle going on, Vagrus, just beyond yonder hills. The scout points southeast. Some armed folks are being attacked by bloody undead. A murmur washes over the crew, and many of them ready their weapons. Not to give aid to fellow travelers in dire need is believed to attract dire peril unto yourself. Besides, it would be better to fight the undead together than alone if it comes to that. The tension is rising with each passing moment, with everyone watching you, waiting for you to give the order. Rush in and attack the undead as fast as possible, approach carefully and see what exactly is going on, have the scout tell you what exactly they saw, ask Javik to use his abilities to spy on the battle from here, order your crew to stand down, perhaps you can get far enough from the undead while they are fighting. Ask Javik. Javik frowns in concentration and massages his temples. Sweat beads appear on his brow almost instantly. Damn, these mines are difficult to reach, he says, panting. Them being in combat does not help either, but it's almost as if they were trained to keep out prying. These undead have no minds of their own, being animated by dark magic and all that. Sorry, I know I'm not much help. What are we to do? We should help them, right? I like to go in cautiously. I can't do that anymore for some reason. Rush in and attack the undead. You clamber over the next few hills and look down upon the site of a brutal melee. Bodies are strewn across the field. Most of them are mutilated undead, but some are mangled and burnt humans in dark clothes. Another such man, a robed priest with a shaven head, falls to the ground after flying half a dozen yards following a bone-crunching hit from a looming white giant. The creature looks like being made up of several bodies fused by some combination of natural disaster and twisted magic. The rest of the shamblers look like they are smoldering. The Great White Abomination engages the two last men standing, a white-faced, lightly armed enforcer with a shield, and a tall man in elaborate black armor wielding a great sword. Both of them look the worse for wear. There's no time to lose. You and yours rush to the aid of the two men. A fight commences as your men engage the undead. Deploy companions. You can deploy a companion by selecting a portrait from the roster and selecting position. Defense mode, highest value by default. You can use the top right selection of the deployment window to save 3 deployment templates you can use later. Oh shit. Some skills can target friendly units, support, protect, or even heal them. In this fight, a lot of Javik skills cannot be used because undead enemies are immune to mind-affecting effects. Javik is far from useless, however, as he can use his premonition skill to keep his allies buffed with additional initiative, ACC, evade, and block. Buffs do not stack, but are refreshed when recast. Use premonition to buff an ally. Darius is a very tough companion due to his armor and good defenses. His skills also include a support skill that enhances his stats, Vengeance, and one that debilitates an enemy, Bane, both for several rounds. I believe there's less damage. Okay. Use any skill. The hell is this thing? Lock. Combat is cruel and in general you cannot heal during it. Your defense is your main way to mitigate damage. Evade allows you to completely avoid an attack. Each companion has different evade and block chances. Continue the combat with space. I can revive downed companions. Inspire. now, punk. Just stay right there. Almost. Son of a bitch. Does it do it? No, it doesn't. It is over. The undead finally stopped moving, their bodies lying mutilated all around the hills. The large abomination was hacked to pieces and is now a jumbled pile of ash and petrified bones. Some of your crew also got torn up. There are several wounded and one dead. The man in the black armor is the only one of his company who survived the battle. He is sitting on a rock nearby, covered in ash from hacking at the abomination, drinking ponderously from a water skin while he is observing the battlefield. His grim gaze wanders from one slain companion to the other as if wanting to make sure all of them are dead. At length, his piercing gaze finds you and a chill runs down your spine. There is no doubt in your mind that the man and you need to talk. You walk over to the black armored man and address him. You walk up to the man and offer him your hand. He looks you up and down in a fashion that suggests mild contempt. His greatsword, forged of steel, lies across his lap. He does not take your hand. You seem to be the leader of this. The man is looking for the word, his eyes to comitatus, company of travelers. What is your business here? The bluntness of the question, coupled with the man's evident hostility and ungratefulness, leaves you speechless. Perhaps it is for the best. You notice the man is bearing the symbol of Surgorod, which should make you cautious. Surgorod? God of vengeance, anger, malevolence, and curses. Okay. Tell him that you are a trading comitatus traveling south. Tell him that only that you are a traveling company. Tell him it is none of his business. Tell him he should be thanking you instead of asking questions. Yeah, he should be thanking me. Yeah, people are rude. None of his business. The man frowns at your impertinence. Unfortunately for you, Vagrus, it is my business after all. I am a knight of Ordis Negris Solis. By aiding me, Vagrus, you have aided imperial law. Yet it seems to me now that you are bent on becoming a problem for me. I would make up my mind if I were you. The man rises from the rock, just threateningly enough for you to back down. He towers over you now, and it dawns on you that the war gear he carries makes him either a very rich or a very powerful person in the metal-starved world, or both. So by the looks of your crew and beasts, I presume you are a trading comitatus, bound to the south, no doubt. You nod with a dry throat. Black knights of his kind are judge, jury, and executioner all in one. Defying him would be like defying the gods of the Empire. And it is only by coincidence that our paths have crossed. You assure him that it is. He narrows his eyes and pierces you with his gaze. There is a tense moment that seems to take forever. Better. Much better. Perhaps we started off on the wrong foot. My name is Sidarius. You must have some questions of your own. Now is your chance to ask them. Best not make them wait. I like this picture. This is really cool. Sidarius stands before you, head cocked to the side, his blade resting on his shoulder, awaiting your questions. Ask him what he was doing here. Ask him about the fight. Ask him about his companions. Ask him about his knightly order. Ask him what he plans to do now. Trap sprung. Oh shit. I'll just go down the line. I and my companions came here in search of enemies of the Empire, to smoke them out of their hideout here in the wilds. It was supposed to be the last glorious battle concluding a long investigation that took months. As you can see, it went down quite differently. It is now my assumption that we've been betrayed and a trap was set for us. The traitors we were supposed to apprehend lured us here along with these undead and hoped to see us all slaughtered. Zergorod, however, in his endless salience, saw fit to grant me an opportunity for retribution. Rejoice, Vagrus! You have been an instrument of the divine, sent here by Zergorod himself to aid me in his quest for vengeance. Was there anything else you wanted? Sidarius stands before you, head cocked to the side, his blade resting on his... awaiting your question. Ask him about the fight. My company was drawn here with the false promise of finding the hideout of enemies of the Empire. Instead, a large group of undead surrounded us, most likely drawn here by some vile trickery, and we had to fight for our lives. You arrived towards the ends of a drawn-out battle and saw my last companions fall. We fought with Zergorod's rage and with the Emperor in our hearts, but there was just too many of the shamblers. Looking around, you now realize how savage the confrontation must have been. Dozens and dozens of undead lie all around the field, and only a half a dozen of Sidaria's dead companions. Ask him about his companions. My companions lie dead. There is nothing else you need to know, save only that they were all dedicated servants of the Empire who did not flinch in the face of the ultimate adversity. They were all either members of the Church of Zergorod or my order. I led them here in hopes of hunting down traitors, but they were betrayed in turn. I will not rest until I avenge such treachery. He grits his teeth so hard you are afraid they will crack. There is an unholy light in his eyes for a few brief moments. By the grace of the Triumvirate, I now have the opportunity to do so. Church of Zergorod. Avenge it. That sounds fun. The Church of the God of Vengeance. Zergorodites. The High Priest of the Church, with magical power, Senate. The Order of the Black Sun. Greatest knightly order. Well, it's kind of like in The Witcher with Nilfgaard, Black Sun. First and foremost knightly order called the Pillars of the Empire, Fulcimus Imperium, worship Zergorod and Azkol. The King of Death's Necromancy. That's pretty sweet. Okay. Ask him about his knightly order. The Order of the Black Sun is one of the Fulcimus Imperium, as you know. We are adherents of Surgarod and Azkul. We are the best of the best, and forces of the Empire, hunting down criminals and traitors, guarding our great leaders, and leading military operations. This hunt was also one such task we typically undertake. From the way he speaks of the Knightly Order, it is clear to you that Sidarius is utterly dedicated to it. Ask him what he plans to do now. I intend to return to Avernum. I have to debrief my superiors there of what happened today, and I also want to look around more into the lead that ultimately brought me here. Sidarius fixes you with his gaze. Your destination does not happen to be Avernum, does it? Yeah, the scrolling here is a little jerky, but it's alright. You can't help but tell him the truth. You are too well aware that lying to one of the Knights of the Black Sun is high treason. It is the first time you see Sidarius' malevolent smile. Good. I shall join you for the journey. Irafons teaches us to share the burdens of the road. Now tell your men to pile up the bodies of my companions. Burning them without the proper rituals is not becoming such heroes of the Empire, but we have no time for much else. Also, gather all their belongings while you're at it. Make it happen, Vagrus. In the meantime, someone skillful enough should take a look at my wounds. You're about to leave to give the orders when Sidarius calls after you. And just so everyone knows, the danger might still be looming over us. The traitors who I was supposed to find must be around here, keeping a distance. They surely would have finished me off had I managed to conquer all the undead by myself. I doubt they are going to make a move now that you are here, but who knows what their desperation will drive them to. Though your crew does not like to be ordered around by a stranger, they too agree that the slain should be attended to. The pile is burning and the cart line is ready to leave in an hour. It seems you have to take Sidarius to Avernum. Sidarius joins your comitas. As the comitas is crossing into the Badlands. Wait, you haven't even gotten into the Badlands yet? I mean, what the hell? What was it, that Lake of Fire and all that? That wasn't the Badland? You climb on the cart where the resting Sidarius is sitting in the back. You can see that he is holding something small in his hands and is observing it attentively. This is a fetish charm, one that the kindly sisters and the disciples of Azkul use to attract the reanimated dead. The knight tosses you a small bone charm, complete with arcane writing in black ink and some teeth they attach to the centerpiece. Yeah, I want one of those. I disabled it. Do not worry. These filthy traitors may have used a stolen charm to ensnare my contingent, but I am still anointed in the faith of Azkul, and I swear they will suffer for this atrocity. You give the charm back to the knight. There is also the matter of the belongings of my fallen comrades. I expect you to hold on to them until we reach Avernum. We'll discuss them there. You nod and turn towards the horizon. Whether you like it or not, you're bound in the night for the next few days to come. You travel on towards Avernum. I get Sir Goderight arms.
The Dark Knight joined us after we rescued him from the clutches of the mindless undead horrors that slaughtered his companions. He was a grim sort, displaying no gratitude or companionship. Yet we were stuck with him, for a lawman such as the Knight could make his dreadful will ours by command. So we set out, bound for Avernum, the greatest city in the vicinity.
The leader window allows you to observe and interact with your character, the Vagrus. Your current insight is displayed at the top right. Insight is gained mainly through events that can be used to purchase perks and improvements for the Vagrus and your companions. Perks are abilities that have levels are used in various situations. Initial and maximum perk levels, as well as available perks, are specific to each character. Attributes and professions are used in events. You can find more information below about each of these by clicking on their names. You can also purchase any number of perks if your insight allows you to, clicking on the empty nodes next to each perk representing its next level. When you want to finalize the changes you made, use the confirm button, the revert button. Repair. Okay. Leadership perks are perks specific to the Vagrus. Each of them lets you use resourcefulness to boost your action in a certain way when unlocked. Consult with their descriptions to learn more. Resourcefulness allows you to boost various actions. It replenishes each day. Its maximum can be raised by spending insight on it. Click the plus button. What you can spend resourcefulness on depends on your unlocked leadership perks. Authority. Okay, resourcefulness replenishes each day. I didn't know that. Authority is the maximum number of deputies you can have at any given time. Higher authority also makes your companions less likely to abandon you in the open world campaign. You need no additional authority in Pilgrims of the Wasteland. Click on the helmet icon on the leader medallion. Companion pane, alright. The companion pane. Allows you to view and manage your companion's character, going into travel, serve you in varied ways. Their stats are displayed at the top left. While their combat skills are on the bottom left. Both the current and the next level of each skill displayed. Scroll icon, the bottom of the command's name can be used to reveal their backstories. Similarly, the pendant icons can be clicked to reveal the available gear the companion can equip into one of the two slots and gain its benefits by dragging and dropping from the list. Gear can be unequipped by dragging it back to the list. Gear is shared among all companions, but only one of them can wear a piece of gear at any given time. No companion can wear two of the same piece of gear. Luck Talisman. This is the prowess window where you can upgrade your companions. Prowess is a general power level of the companion ranging from 1 through 9. Each unlocked level of prowess gives the companion an amount of proficiency points that can be spent on upgrading their perks. Raising prowess costs insight from the leader. In the main companion, the 3rd, 6th, and 9th level of prowess can only be unlocked after the companion storyline progresses beyond a certain point. Pilgrims, companions can be upgraded to the 3rd prowess level. Perk descriptions and proficiency costs can be observed by clicking on their names. Deputy perks, combat traits, and combat skills are unique to companions. Companion traits give their passive bonuses in combat, while combat skills are what they use in battle. Each level of skill is represented by a perk. Upgrading works the same way as with leaders. You can spend any amount of proficiency, then confirm changes with confirm mode. Be very careful what you spend proficiency on. Once purchased, perks cannot be changed. No, she's supposed to be DPS or tank, I wonder. Because that dude, I don't know if the Sidarius is DPS or tank yet. Maybe he seems to be both right now. I better go for DPS with her. Okay. I'll just camp up. The whole Commodus becomes agitated as a dust cloud appears in the east and starts to move towards you. You give orders to your crew to prepare for a dust storm. Such a thing is fairly common out here on the border of the Searing Plains, and you should have little trouble traversing it. Larges, continuous desert areas. Okay. Make the necessary arrangements and head on south. After half an hour, the cloud is much closer and is now certain it will cross your path. By then, everyone is wearing protective masks or bandanas, and all the cargo and equipment are secured. Javik is riding a large beast of burden, having fastened himself to its back, deep in concentration, to maintain the calmness of all your animals with his telepathic skills. But something is off. An uncanny twilight is settling on the broken plains around you. It is much too early for sunset, and the storm itself should not blot out light in such a manner. And then you hear it, chanting on the wind, and a pale light at the heart of the storm heading your way. You can see the faces of the crew slowly becoming distorted in panic. Try and flee as fast as you can, order everyone to draw weapons and prepare for a fight. Try to find a hiding place, unlikely as it may be out in the open. Well, I'll try to hide. You're just about to give the order when Sidarius walks up to you. What is the meaning of this, Vagrus? There's no need for such a desperate act. It is just a dust storm. You tell him quickly about your previous encounter with the last pilgrimage. Nonsense. The chances that the pilgrims would show up again are... Sidarius trails off as the eerie twilight falls upon the comitatus, and the dust cloud envelops you all. There is no time to flee or hide. So you signal everyone to draw weapons and stand at the ready. Some of your crew tremble, some are praying, and some are about to break, but not Sidarius. The knight walks towards the approaching apparition as if being possessed by a death wish. You can see Javik frowning and sweating in concentration, no doubt trying to combat your beast's instinct to flee in utter terror. In a few moments, you can hear the chanting and see the ghastly pilgrims clearly through the dust curtain. Desiccated forms in faded robes shuffling around the broken terrain, or rather, over the terrain somehow, as if floating at a rapid pace. Their vacant faces are illuminated by a dreadful pale light that emanates from their hollow insides. You are paralyzed by terror. Blurred images enter your mind, visions of a horrid procession of living dead wearing faded robes. You walk among them. You are one of them. Is this the end? Before they could reach you, the spectral pilgrims turn left and head south along a dried-out riverbed without any apparent reason. It takes your mind a few minutes to comprehend that an unusual mercy has just been granted you and your crew. The last pilgrimage marches on, slowly disappearing into the cracked badlands beyond, taking the ghoulish twilight and the dust storm with them. It takes a few good moments for the crew and yourself to come to your senses. Did this truly happen? What was the reason, if any, for the spectral troop to change direction at the last second? How can it be explained that they appeared again after such a short time? Sidarius walks over to you looking confident, though you can see he's a bit shaken too. Zergarod is with us. This is an omen, if I have ever seen one. My destiny for retribution against the enemies of the Empire must be the reason why these horrors let us be. You swallow and nod, yet you are not so certain why it happened the way it did. Rest assured, Vagrus, as long as you have me by your side, no harm will come to your combatus. Remember that. Comitatus. I said that name like 100 times already, and I still screwed it up. Sidarius walks away, signaling the line to move along. +5 insight. Still rattled, you move along the line, assuring everyone that the danger had passed. With the Comitatus moving, you join Javik on top of the largest beast of burden, but you barely talk. You have never heard of anyone encountering the last pilgrimage twice. Somehow you do not feel blessed, haunted more like. After an hour or two, you and your crew fall back into your traveling routines, and tonight all this will seem much less terrifying. In fact, you should be grateful for avoiding certain death at the hands of those accursed things twice in a row. Hopefully, there won't be a third time. You move on towards Avernum. Whew. Let me ask Javik about the last pilgrimage. I get goosebumps just thinking about it. I mean, we've had some tough calls since we started working together, but I never thought that we would come so close to one of the greatest menaces of our time. The last pilgrimage. Javik shudders before going on. While they were nearby, I had a strange sensation grabbing hold of me. It was like, I don't know, images flashing before my eyes. I was filled with dread from these images, felt naked before some unfathomable catastrophe that was coming my way. I heard chanting that went from reverent to desperate and back again. And that light, I saw it only from a distance, but I will never forget that horrible light. I just hope we never come in contact with this procession of spectral wanderers ever again. You can't help but agree. Javik scratches his chin before going on. There's also talk among the crew that coming across the pilgrims is a bad omen and our venture is cursed. Whenever I hear such talk, I try to calm everyone down, but I thought you should know. What he thinks about Sidarius? He is full of anger, that much I can tell. Both of you glance at the far side of the camp where the black-clad knight is pacing back and forth like an irate beast. And I don't just mean anger about how he's betrayed and almost killed in a trap set for him. No, there's an underlying rage in that one. One that I'm afraid might bite us in the ass if we're not careful. You remind him that you do not have much of a choice when it comes to traveling with the man. Besides, it is only for a little while. I know, Javik smiles faintly. I just have this sense that we should probably be on guard when it comes to him. Maybe humor him as best we can. I have to confess that I'm not a big fan of him or his kind. So believe me when I say it's no easy thing for me either. There, we went through that. Morwen thinks of Sidarius.